The following video contains images, visuals, and discussions about blood and needles.
Imagine needing a blood transfusion to survive, but there's no match for you anywhere in the world. Every second counts, yet the blood bank has nothing to help. What if doctors could grow the exact blood you need in a lab? It sounds like science fiction, but it's quickly becoming reality. Scientists have developed a way to create red blood cells outside the human body. This breakthrough could transform medicine, helping people who struggle to find donor blood, especially those with rare blood types, chronic blood disorders, or immune complications. But why is blood so important, and what makes lab-grown blood a potential game changer? Let's break it down. First, why do people need transfusions? People need transfusions when they are low on blood or platelets, which are tiny cell fragments in your blood that help form clots to stop bleeding when you get a cut or an injury. There are two reasons people would be low on blood or platelets. One, if they have lost too much blood, for example, after getting into an accident. Two, if their bone marrow does not function well. Three possible reasons for this are A, if the patient has inherited a disease, such as sickle cell anemia. B, if the patient has an acquired problem, such as cancer. And C, if the patient is undergoing cancer therapy. Chemotherapy is toxic to bone marrow, and chemotherapy patients often require transfusions. Next, what makes red blood cells so important? Red blood cells. They're the tiny but mighty heroes of our circulatory system. These specialized cells are responsible for carrying oxygen from our lungs to every part of the body. Imagine your body as a vast transportation network, with red blood cells acting as delivery trucks. They pick up oxygen from the lungs and transport it to tissues and organs, keeping everything running smoothly. However, not everyone's red blood cells function properly. Millions of people worldwide suffer from conditions like sickle cell anemia, where their blood cells either don't work as they should or are destroyed too quickly. What happens when there aren't enough functional red blood cells? Well, some of these patients rely on periodic blood transfusions just to stay alive. What happens if these people have rare blood types that make it nearly impossible to find a compatible donor? That's where lab-grown blood changes the game. In this video, we will explain how scientists grow them in the lab and what this means for the future of medicine. So, how do scientists grow blood in a lab? Think of growing red blood cells like baking bread. Start with the right ingredients: stem cells. Scientists begin with a small skin sample from a donor. Inside the sample are special cells called stem cells, which are the body's raw materials for creating different cell types. Next, activate the pluripotent stem cells. In bread making, yeast is activated to help the dough rise. Similarly, scientists take ordinary stem cells and activate them, transforming them into pluripotent stem cells, a type of stem cell that has the potential to turn into nearly any cell in the body, including red blood cells. Then, let the dough rise, aka growing the red blood cells. Just like dough is placed in a warm, controlled environment to rise, these pluripotent stem cells are placed in a nutrient-rich solution that mimics the body's conditions. This encourages them to grow and develop into fully functional red blood cells. Lastly, bake until ready, aka fully grown red blood cells. After 18 to 21 days, the cells are fully matured, like a fresh golden brown loaf of bread coming out of the oven. These lab-grown red blood cells are now ready for transfusion. Lab-grown blood can revolutionize medicine. Lab-grown blood isn't just about making more blood, it's about making better, safer, and more accessible blood. Here are some of the many benefits. Unlike donor blood, which contains a mix of young and aging red blood cells, lab-grown blood is packed with fresh, newly made cells, meaning they could last longer in the body. They also provide a perfect match for all patients. Patients with rare blood types or immune complications won't have to struggle to find a donor. Also, they offer a reliable supply. Currently, all blood transfusions depend on voluntary donations, but donor rates are declining worldwide. Lab-grown blood could provide a steady supply without relying on donors. They also lower the risk of disease transmission. Unlike donated blood, which carries a small risk of infections, lab-grown blood comes from a known, safe source. Finally, they require fewer transfusions due to their longer lifespan in the body. Because lab-grown blood contains only fresh, young red blood cells, it could last longer in the body, meaning fewer transfusions for patients, so people can spend more time doing things they love. The first human trial, RESTORE. The RESTORE trial is the first ever clinical test of lab-grown red blood cells in humans. In this study, 2 participants received a mini transfusion, just 5 to 10 milliliters, which is about 1 to 2 teaspoons of lab-grown blood. Scientists are monitoring how long these cells survive compared to standard donor blood. Early results are promising, showing no side effects and potentially longer-lasting red blood cells. Science is bringing us closer to a future where no patient has to wait for a life-saving transfusion. Lab-grown blood could be the key to a healthier, more sustainable future. Some challenges and limitations. While the science is exciting, there are still obstacles. Mainly, lab-grown blood is very expensive to produce. Scientists can only make a few teaspoons at a time, while a full transfusion requires hundreds of times that amount. However, researchers are working on ways to mass-produce red blood cells so that lab-grown blood can become widely available. Science is driving us toward a future where no patient has to wait for a life-saving transfusion. Lab-grown blood could ensure a safe, universal blood supply, making transfusions safer, more effective, and available to anyone who needs them. This is just the beginning, but one day, growing blood in a lab could be as common as donating it. Until then, research continues, and every new discovery brings us closer to revolutionizing transfusions forever. Quiz time! Now let's test your knowledge and see how well you understand the differences between lab-grown and normal red blood cells. Question number 1. Which red blood cells last longer in the body? A. Lab-grown or B. Human-grown? The answer is A. Lab-grown. Number 2. Which red blood cells are immediately available at blood banks? A. Lab-grown or B. Human-grown? The answer is B. Human-grown. Number 3. Which type of red blood cells come from voluntary blood donors? A. Lab-grown or B. Human-grown? The answer is B. Human-grown. And lastly, number 4. Which red blood cells could lower the risk of transfusion-related infections? A. Lab-grown or B. Human-grown? The answer is lab-grown. How many did you get right? Let us know in the comments.